and I landed in a spot doing exactly what I envisioned doing. Like I just want to run the front end and have somebody else run the back end. And all it took was to find purpose again.
Welcome to the Secrets of Being podcast. I'm Dr. Dawn Earhart-Whitty, your guide on a transformative journey of personal development and discussions of universal truths. Join me and a panel of life coaches and spiritual leaders from around the world discussing how to handle some of life's greatest challenges. We will be sharing stories of love, faith, and inspiration with you, our faithful listeners, to live your happiest and most fulfilling life, full of purpose and passion for yourself, your families, and the world. We are here to be the change we wish to see. Let the conversation begin. Hello, welcome to the Secrets of Being podcast. I am thrilled to be joined today by Robert B. Foster. He is a friend and one of my favorite humans. He has recently wrote a book called Shut Up and Grind, which is also the name of his podcast. And I want to talk to Robert today about resilience. So Robert, will you introduce yourself and then we can start our conversation?
How you doing? My name is Robert B. Foster. We got to make sure we get that B in there. And so I host a podcast. As Dawn mentioned, I wrote a book with the same name, Shut Up and Grind. And that stemmed from defying the odds from a pretty bad knee injury. And so now I bring guests on from all over the world to share their stories of overcoming, trauma, anything that they've gone through in their life. So that's a little blurb about me.
Well, I wanted to start our conversation today with the quote that you have on the back of your book. I know you said you redid the cover, so I don't know if you included this quote, but it's so good.
Oh, I did.
Okay, good, because it's such a great quote. Greatness isn't about the absence of struggle. It's about using that struggle as fuel. Embrace your story, face your fears, and let every challenge sharpen the leader within you. The words of wisdom, sir.
Thank you.
And without, giving away every single thing in the book, one of the things I wanted to talk to you specifically about is you've gone through so many things that could have literally, you could have been like, no, I can't do it. The doctor told you would never be able to run again, yet you overcame that. What is that mindset? What is that secret of being that you can share?
It's about how you look through the lens of life. So I look at everything as a competition, because deep down I'm a competitor. People that are close to me, they know I'm a fierce competitor, and no matter what it is, it could be the most smallest thing, like playing Uno. And it's like, I want to come out on top. Like, it doesn't matter what the issue is. So when struggle and challenges arise, because everyone's going to go through something at some point, every single person on this planet, but every person also is equipped with a flight or fight response, every single human. And society conditions us for flight. So I tap into the fight. So when life gets tough, you have to rise to the challenge. If you don't rise to the challenge, that struggle is going to consume you.
Yeah, I love that. And so, will you share the story about when your knee got dislocated and, how did that play out for you? And I think probably the doctor telling you would never run again was like your fuel. Like, oh no, you did not just say that.
Well, initially it scared the heck out of me. So I was high jumping at the ripe old age of 34. And when the injury occurred, it was actually pretty stupid because I didn't even have to take that jump. I already had the competition won. But there was somebody else, well, in my age bracket, but there was somebody else from an older age bracket still competing. And my ego was like, he's got to go too. So I kept on jumping. And then I ended up having that patella tendon rupture where my kneecap, it was dislocated plus. It was about a good 4 inches up my quadricep. And in that moment, I went from being in tip-top shape to now not knowing what the future is going to look like. And so I get to the emergency room and the doctor takes off the brace that the EMTs put on. And just without missing a beat, he looked me right in my eyes and said, "You will never run or jump again." And now I have 5 children. At the time, they were 9, 6, and 2. And then Kelly was pregnant with twins. So no, I'm sorry. The twins were here already. They were 4 months old. And so hearing those words initially, like I said, because I am human. So initially I started thinking of all the things I wouldn't be able to do with them. Just like simple things like running around in the playground, playing basketball, playing volleyball. Like I'm big into pretty much all sports. So I just went down that rabbit hole really quick. Eyes filled up with tears. But then the competitor in me jumped out and was like, this guy doesn't know how you're going to heal. Right? It's like, we haven't even had the surgery yet. So how can you put that type of a diagnosis on me? And I always share that to tell people when challenges arise, again, you have two choices. Let it consume you, let it fuel you. And so I was like, all right, so this is just another challenge. This is another competition. But it was me versus me. It wasn't even like proving the doctor wrong. Like, I don't need external motivation. It's like, if I want something, I have enough confidence within me to go after it. And so every day, I mean, the first 2 weeks were rough. Don't get me wrong. Like the first two, maybe even 3 weeks were very, very rough because they pretty much reconstructed my knee. And then when they first did it, it actually healed a little bit too high. So they had to undo it and then redo it. So it's like I pretty much had surgery twice in one surgery. So the pain was tough. And there were some moments of doubt in the beginning because the pain was so excruciating. But then once I was cleared to walk again, that like I could have walked probably a couple weeks prior. So I was like, I was being held back. And I know the doctors have to err on the side of caution, but I always tell people, find your threshold. It's like you know what hurts and what doesn't hurt. So do a movement. It's like, ooh, but then stay below that. And I'm just sharing what I did. I'm not saying defy doctor's orders. And so for my second surgery, I mean, I'll get back to the knee, but for my second surgery, which was my shoulder, that was what I did. Because at first they told me don't move it at all for 6 weeks, and I was like, yeah, that's not happening. It was like I listened to you guys last time, and I was grossly held back. Like I think I could have recovered a lot faster. And so my first follow up appointment, I had full range of motion in my shoulder. And the PT was like, wow, we don't ever see that. I said, yeah, because I didn't listen to you guys. And I found my own thresholds and figured out what to do. And like that happened the day before Thanksgiving in 2015, and I ran a Spartan race the end of April. So only 5 months after bicep tendon repair. And it's because people have to understand that the mind heals the body. So whatever you feed the mind, that's how the body is going to respond. So I just kept telling myself I'm going to be ready in time for that race. And back to the knee, I kept telling myself when I run again, when I jump again. It wasn't if, it wasn't hopefully, it was when.
Again, your resilience is amazing, and I love, again, it's your mental attitude. And again, not I'm not saying that people don't have real physical problems in their bodies, but your mind
Yes.
helps your body heal. So,
Yes.
and him telling you no was probably just the fuel you needed. You probably didn't need any more than that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, like I said, initially it hit me, because the guy's a doctor. And then it just reminded myself that the mind heals the body. Like if you break your arm and the doctors have to surgically put it back in place, so they do that, but then they slap a cast on you and you wait for the body to heal itself. So it's like they don't do the healing, we do the healing. And that stems from anything, no matter what you go through. If you just sit there and think about all of the struggles, all of the things that upset you, all of the things that hurt you, you're never going to find a happy place. It's not going to happen. So when things arise in my world, you just tackle it head on. You just tackle it. Then if say like if your issue is with another person, right? If that other person doesn't want to engage, there's nothing you can do about that. It's like that's not going to stop my forward progress. It's like because I'm in control of my well-being, just like other people are in control of their well-being. A lot of people stay in that struggle because they want to control the other person's well-being. I know that sounds like a big riddle, but hopefully that made sense.
It does. And oh my gosh, there were so many thoughts I was having when you were just saying that. So were there times while you're going through that challenge and some of the other ones where you did kind of let the dark victim part of you like come out? Like, did you experience that at all?
So 2 years ago, I lost everything and I walked away from my fitness business. Like that was tough. That was very, very tough. I had sent my oldest daughter down to live with my mom. My three younger kids went to go with their mom. And then I was just myself, for about 6 days or so. I bounced around between hotels, but like I literally had nowhere to go. And I walked away from my business. I had no money coming in. So for about maybe 6 to 8 weeks, yeah, I went through a pretty deep depression. And for someone like me, it takes a lot for me to hit that place, because usually things can just bounce off of me and I keep on moving. But for the first time in my life, I don't want to say for the first time, but for I lost direction. Put it that way. I lost direction. So anytime I'm on podcasts talking about mental health and stuff, I always talk about you beat depression with purpose, right? You beat it with purpose. Well, I was in that dark place because I lost my purpose. I didn't have my gym. I had nowhere to live. My kids were separated, and it's like I just had no purpose. And so I had to swallow my pride. I called my mom and asked if I could come back home, and I did. So it was like such a low point. Like, how many songs are out there talking about if you live in your mom's basement? You know what I mean? So I put that stigma on myself. It's like I'm that guy. Like, I'm that loser. It's like I have this podcast talking about spreading light and love, and here I am in the darkest time probably ever. And for a split second, right? It's probably just because I was wasted. For a split second, I actually thought about just swallowing a bottle of pills. Because like I always am positive. I'm always optimistic. But for that 1 second, I lost control. I lost control. So I never got choked up telling that story until now.
Sorry. I
But
keep making people cry.
no, it's all good. I mean, it's reality. It's what happened. So I had paused my show because I myself wasn't in a good place. It's like, and I'm not a fake person. Like, I would rather cancel than come on and be fake. So I canceled it for about 2 months or so, and then I decided to restart it. Even though I always tell people things don't have to be perfect. Just get it going. Like I said that in the talk earlier today. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, all right, so I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I need to get back out there because the show is about sharing other people's stories, and then I just share things to highlight their with what they're saying. And so when I restarted on that first episode back, talk about how the stars align, right? That first episode back, my guest told a story of how she moved from Vancouver, Canada, down to Hollywood because she wanted to break into that industry. She said she got a list of every studio in the Hollywood area, and she just went to every single one and knocked on the door until she got a yes. And so I'm like, here I am, wallowing in misery, no plan, just drinking myself stupid. And like, that's not me. Like, that's not who I am. So that's where competitor Rob came out and said, hey, thanks for getting back to your senses. Let's get to work. And so I went to my local high school, and the guy who coached me is actually still there coaching, 33 years later. So I went to see him to see if he needed any help with his jumpers or sprinters. And he said yes, because at first I wasn't gonna bother, because this was in April now of 2023, and outdoor track starts in March, into March. So I figured, he probably has all of his coaches already. But then I went back to something else I always say is, how do you know if you don't ask? And so let me go talk to him. And so that was on a Friday. That Monday, I started coaching again. And that one practice relit my fire for fitness, because I was actually going to pivot away and go into digital marketing. And I was 3 weeks into a program, and I was like, it's lucrative, helping people, build up their businesses and stuff, but that's not what moves me. Like, being back with those athletes, it completely changed me. And why? Because now I have purpose again. So I was able to get up with that pep in my step again, and just watching them hanging on my every word, like seeking the guidance, watching them apply the things that I'm instilling in them. And from that moment, because when you're in a dark place, all you see is the struggle. That's all you see. And there's light all around you, waving at you, saying, hey, look over here. Hey, look over here. But when you're in the dark place, you can't see it, right? So once my soul got relit, opportunities started popping up everywhere. I ended up getting some wheels because I didn't have a car at this time. So I was riding my bike everywhere. And I was like, I need something with power. So I got a moped to start. And with that moped, I was able to bring myself back to the gym. On the way to the gym, so the place I manage now, shout out Manage Training, right? So the place I manage now, I knew there was a location in East Greenwich because you can see it off the highway. I didn't know that there was one in Wakefield. So as I'm driving past it, I'm like, I wonder what they're all about. So I get to Planet Fitness and I search for it on Google, and I read up on it, and it's like we had similar philosophies about fitness, like similar styles of training. And so on my way back, I stopped in there and I met the owner's son and the owner's wife. And we just got to talking, planted the seed of collaboration. And then the very next day, I met the owner. And right from that first meeting, we hit it off. And now I'm running that location in East Greenwich. I mean, talk about going from swallowing a bottle of pills to coaching again, to working on my fitness again. And then now I'm managing, like I'm in a perfect position because after COVID, I said, I don't want to run my own business again because that was just, no, I just want to run the operation. And I landed in a spot doing exactly what I envisioned doing. Like I just want to run the front end and have somebody else run the back end. And all it took was to find purpose again.
Oh, that is very powerful. And I'm glad that you're in a good place and you were able to get out of that place because so many people get stuck in that place and they don't know how to get out of it. And I think that's why we do what we do, right? To help people find that light and to see that light and believe that this too shall pass and I will get through this. And there's light at the end of the tunnel, like all the cliches, right?
Yes.
But you're a living example. And, I thought it's very interesting that if you listened to this podcast to this point, you speak perfectly well, but you had a stutter for so many years growing up and you've overcome that. And you are a speaker, you speak in front of audiences and you have your own podcast. How does a little boy who had a stutter go from that to being somebody who is a speaker?
It goes from, so you have my book, so chapter 1 is There Is Nothing Wrong With You. So those first few years, I think I started speech pathology in 6th grade. So those first however many years that is, we got to include nursery school and kindergarten too. So that's what, 6, 7 years. I thought there was something wrong with me, and I let that, like, how come my other 6 siblings can all speak perfectly and I can't even say mom? Like, getting teased at home, getting teased at school. And I remember we had a poetry contest and I was scared to death. I did not want to get up there at all. And like when my mom was reading my book, she had texted me that she was tearing up as she read that part because she remembered how terrified I was. And I get out there and I think I only tripped up once and it was minor. But other than that, it went beautifully. But I first stepped out on the stage, it was like 200 people in the auditorium. And I was just like, my heart's racing, I'm sweating. I was like, I don't want to do this. But it's those fears and those limitations that we put on ourselves. Like when I went to speech pathology, really the whole thing, they put on headphones like this, and it just delayed me hearing my own voice. Like they just said, I get so excited to speak because I even do it a little bit now sometimes. If I'm really hyped about something, I'll trip over the words a little. But they just got me to slow down. They're like, your mouth is going faster than your brain. And that was something that was just within me. It was within me. So I had to slow myself down. Even though I went to the speech doctor, a speech pathologist, they didn't really heal me. It's like I had to just be aware that I was thinking too far ahead and the words were coming out jumbled. So that's why chapter 1 is There's Nothing Wrong With You, because 9 times out of 10, we're putting the limitations on ourselves.
Well, and I think that a lesson that we can all take from all of our struggles is finding the lesson, finding the teaching. What did we learn? How did we grow? How did that story can help somebody? How can that help somebody else? And is that the intention behind you starting your podcast?
Yes. So in 2017, I went down to a speaker boot camp in Atlanta with Eric Thomas and his team. So then I became a manager at 15. So I was constantly speaking to small groups, speaking to staff, all staff meetings, things of that nature. So speaking came naturally, but there's a difference between speaking and storytelling. And so this speaker boot camp really transformed the way I tell my stories, because Eric Thomas was actually there on day 2, and I was scheduled to speak on day 2, so it was perfect. So I'm like, ooh, I'm like, I want to wow this guy, So I wanted to tell little snippets of a bunch of the things that I went through, and come to find out that was not the right course of action to take. So I leave the event, I land in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm driving back down to Rhode Island. And so as I'm driving down, I get a phone call from Eric Thomas's CEO. And so I answer the phone, and he's like, hey, Robert, thanks for coming down to Atlanta. He's like, out of all 41 speakers, he said, you are far and away the most polished speaker. And then, he went and gave me all the positive attributes, and here I am feeling myself, right? And because this guy, he's the CEO of one of the best speakers in the world, so to hear that from him, that was amazing. But then he paused, and when somebody pauses, something else is coming, right? Especially when they shower you with all that good in the beginning. So he said, but you're my most frustrating type of student. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I did not see that coming. So he says, your story was so polished. He said, you probably told that story thousands of times. He said, but there was zero emotion in it. He's like, and if you want to command $20,000 per speech, your talk has to move people. It has to make people want to transform. So he said, Eric was probably the worst speaker there. He's like, but there wasn't a dry eye in the house. He's like, because his story was full of emotion. And so I had told the part about where I lost my job, where Kelly was pregnant with the twins, and all that. And he expanded my story. So he was like, when you got your last check, what were your first thoughts? When you were clearing your stuff out of the restaurant, when you said goodbye to your staff, he's like, what was the vibe like? Were they happy to see you go? Were they sad to see you go? He's like, when you got in your car, did you leave right away? Did you just sit there? If you sat there, what were you thinking? When you first told Kelly, what was the tone in her voice? What were her first words? And I'm like, wow, I'm like, this guy is rocking my story. But I was like, wow. But he's like, you got to expand it. He's like, you got to let the audience want to like really feel what's next. And you got to put in proper pauses. You can go fast a little, then slow it down. He's like, you want to take people on a visual journey as you're sharing your story. And I was like, all right, understood. So obviously I started with the knee story first. And it depends on the platform that I'm on, where I start that story from. Because sometimes it starts maybe a year or two prior where the journey starts, and then I get into that. So it depends what the theme of the show is, how deep I go into that. But that's I lost my train of thought because I shifted gears. All right, I'll let you jump in.
No, that's okay, because I'm doing that because you say so many like brilliant nuggets as you're speaking. But one of the things I've heard you say before, whether it was this morning during your talk or when I was when I've been on your podcast, but about doing things afraid, getting outside of your comfort zone, doing it imperfectly perfect. I remember you talking about like when you did your first podcast episode.
Yes.
Like how you look back at it now and it's like, oh my gosh, but you did it anyway. You did it afraid. Yes. And I think that is a good message for people when you're facing something. A lot of times it's like, oh my gosh, I've never done that before. That's scary. It needs to be perfect. I can't do this. And then they will stop there and they never even try. So like, tell me a little bit about the growth that you've had when you do things afraid.
Yeah, well, we started this talking about resilience and how do you build resilience? You have to do hard things. You have to do things that scare you. If you stay in your comfort bubble, you're just going to be soft, and I'm not trying to say soft as an insult. It just is what it is, So like with me, I can't be broken. It's like I've gone through so much stuff that I can't be broken. Like I said, I had that one split second and I got through that. And so now that I got through that, now I know I can't be broken. Because I mean, only thing worse than where I was is if I got arrested. That would be the only way to make that worse. So walking away from my business, kids being split up, it's like moving back home is like that could be the only thing that could have made that any worse. So going through hard stuff is how you grow. It's how you grow. So whether it's going through a divorce, going through a 13-year relationship that ended not so great, having losing my job. Like, I had never been fired before. It's like that was like a smack in the face with a frying pan, but it didn't break me. And then being told I'd never run a jump again, to doing 200 obstacle races, and then fully making the comeback. Now, granted, it took me 7 years to get back on the track, but I was like, I have to compete again. I was like, I have to. Like, if I don't, even though I've done all these other things, the injury still wins. It's like, and I can't let that happen. And so in 2011, we could do a whole podcast on this alone. I donated a kidney to my sister, and in doing so, it qualified me for the transplant games. And so in 2016, it's like an Olympic style competition. They have all types of things. And so I was representing Team New England at the 2016 games in Cleveland, Ohio. And so I signed up for the 100 meters, the long jump, and the high jump. So because again, I got injured in the high jump. So my goal was to just clear open and height. That was it. I had no other expectations. I just wanted to leave the ground, keep my knee intact, and all is well. But I ended up winning. I ended up winning.
Shocking.
And now in the 100 meters, I got third, but I pulled a quad muscle, right? So, and somehow I still got third. In the long jump, and this was after I pulled my quad muscle, and this is going to sound so weird. So people that don't understand the long jump, there's a board that you have to jump from. Usually you run up to it, you hit the board, and then you jump into the sand. So because I pulled my quad, I couldn't run. So I literally hopped down the runway till I got to the board, jumped off, and I ended up second overall without even running down.
You're
Unreal.
an insane man, but I love that about you.
It's like,
And
unreal.
You just glossed over something that I think, when I first learned this about you and what you did for your sister, that's one of the reasons you're one of my favorite humans. Just because, like, you are such a kind, genuinely kind person. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that? Because that's a big deal.
Yeah, so that came during healing from the knee injury. So the knee injury, the surgery was July 20th of 2009. And so this is Christmas Day, 2009, where my sister calls me. And I'm thinking she just called because it's Christmas night. I talk to her kids, she talks to my kids, and all is great. But I answer the phone with my usual peppy self. I'm like, hey, sis, Merry Christmas. How you doing? And her response was very somber, like definitely not at all in the Christmas spirit. So we get to talking. I guess she had pain in her leg, and it was bad enough to where she went to the emergency room to get checked. And in running all of the tests, it came back that her kidneys were only at 10% function. And so she's like, I'm gonna need a transplant. Like, she had a rare kidney disease. I don't remember what it was, some weird name, but she had a rare kidney disease. And so we started talking about her needing a donor. And technically, she's my half sister. So I didn't know if we were going to be a full match or not. So, because I guess there's a 6-point scale. So we go through the first batch of testing, and we were 2 out of 6. And so the surgeon says, yeah, looks like we can move ahead. I'm like, we're not even at 50%. I was like, how are we going to move it? Obviously, I was going to go through anyway, but you just start thinking, like, what if her body rejects it? And then we went through this for nothing. But he seemed very confident that everything would be okay. So other than that, I didn't doubt any other step in the process. So now where it gets tricky, because this was in April of 2010 now, she gets sick with a virus. So now we can't do the transplant until the virus is completely out of her system. We did the transplant May 26th of 2011. So we had to wait an entire year, 13 months, before we could have it. And she, obviously me, I'm healthy, so I was fine. Just the mental of just kind of thinking about it, like, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? So, because I was just getting back to full strength with my knee. And then now they're going to go cut my belly button open. And about that, so I guess before they used to extract the kidney from the back. And I guess it was a lot more invasive and a longer recovery for the donor. So the surgeon says they're experimenting with removing it through like the belly button area. And I said, I'm all for helping science. I said, but how new? Like, I don't want to be like number 3 or 4. So I'm like, how new? And he's like, no, he's like, I've done well over 100 of these things. He's like, the recovery time is like, 60% faster. And I was like, all right, I'm down. If you've done that many, like, I'm down. Like, why not? Save my sister's life and help science advance, right? Great. So we do the transplant. I go home 2 days later, and my sister was there for a few months, I believe. But the doctor said, because typically transplants last about 15 years. And so this year was our 14th anniversary. So, but the doctor did say, because my sister's like 5'2", maybe 5'3" at best, and I'm nearly 6'2". So the doctor said that the size of my kidney should last her whole life. So we're knocking on wood and hoping for the best, praying for the best there. But now she's doing well. Like, she did have a little heart attack scare a couple years ago, but all is well there. But other than that, as far as her kidney function goes, it's fine.
So when the decision came to do this or not, was there ever a question like, no, I'm not going to do, aside from like it not being as big of a match as you thought it needed to be? Was there any question?
No. So they set me up to speak with therapists and counselors and stuff, but I refused all of them. They're like, you don't have any. I'm like, no. I said, because you people are going to say something that's going to make me doubt. So I said, right now I'm dialed in, and I don't need to discuss it, like, at all. So the only thing is, it was 3 days prior, because I think that this is when I had to start the prep, because it's almost like a little more in-depth colonoscopy prep. So it's like along those lines. So right around starting the prep processes was when it started getting real. And then just when I started having those thoughts, because again, I am human, I do doubt sometimes, where I was just like, what if something happens to me? Because there's been a couple people in my family that have gotten kidney transplants. So it's like, and I'm giving away my lifeline. Like, what if? They was like, no, can't think like that. Can't think like that. Again, going back to purpose. This isn't about me. This is about her. I said, so lean into the purpose, and good things are gonna happen. So yeah, so I refuse to talk to all of them, because I don't want any doubts being planted.
And that's how you get through everything in your life, right? And that's why you are where you are today.
Yes, absolutely. Because you can't have doubts. Like, I mean, yeah, you want to think things through, but whatever you focused on the most, that's what's gonna come to you. Like when I was in that dark place, I was blaming my business partner. I was blaming this. I was blaming that. And you can point your fingers at anyone you want to. That's gonna do nothing to fix your situation. It's like you have to look inward. When you look inward, all right, what do I have to change to get to where I want to be? And then once I started making those changes, you start seeing those open doors. Because if you're in the darkness, you can't see till you turn the light on. Right? So you have to turn on that light inside of you and start focus on the things that make you happy. And with me, uplifting others makes me happy. And like in the course of a day, like track season is over now, but for 6 months out of the year, like I work 7 days a week. Actually, I work 7 days a week all year, but when the restaurant is closed and when track is off, I have the weekends pretty much free. I just teach one class, and then I have the rest of the day free. But my day is, I have to be there for others, because people ask me, like, how do you wake up at 4:30 every morning? I'm like, 'cause I have a purpose. When that alarm goes off, people are expecting me to show up. I have a purpose. I'm not going to punch a clock to go to a job I don't want to do. Those are the people that struggle getting out of bed. So when that alarm goes off, it's actually a video of me telling me to get up because people are waiting on you. Right? So I wake up to my own words. And then that makes it easy to sit up, to sit up, turn on the lights, and let's get started. So having that drive, Like, we've spoken enough. I say vision 1,000 times, right? It's not about the why. I mean, yeah, the why is important. The reason's important, but you got to be able to see it. You got to be able to feel it, right? When you can feel it, it's real. Like when people come in the gym and say, I want to lose 20 pounds, like it's not that simple. What's that going to do for you? Say, now you start talking about the whys. All right, why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Right? How's your life going to change? How is getting back into a size 10? What's that going to do for you? Who around you will be inspired by that journey? Now, will it inspire your kids? Will it inspire your significant other? Will it inspire your coworkers? Maybe your parents, right? So now it's not just about me losing 20 pounds, going back to purpose. So your journey is going to inspire other people. Now, when you don't feel like going to the gym, you're going to get up and you go because you got to be there for other people. Then that's how we pull ourselves out of that rat race. Once you stop saying me, and you start saying, all right, who can I help with my journey? That's where vision comes into play.
Oh man, Robert, I think we could do 500 episodes and without even touching on the same thing twice. And I wanted to hit this too because you said this earlier about the importance of gratitude. And I really feel like when we can look at what we have and how blessed it helps us with the losses and the things that aren't going right.
Yeah, so I always tell the story of my dad. So my dad passed in November of 2019, and the first thing people always say is, "I'm sorry." And they mean well. They're coming from a heart-centered place, but we have to understand death's a part of life, right? It's coming for all of us, right? Death is undefeated, right? So it's coming for all of us. So you have to look at the circumstance. Like with me, I didn't have any time regrets because like I saw my parents regularly. Like maybe not every day or anything, but I saw them regularly enough to where I didn't have any regrets. And I should have called more. I should have shown up more. I should have been to more things. Like I didn't have any of that. So some of my siblings did, because like they lived further away, New York, New Jersey, so they didn't come up as much as they could have. And they kind of took that to heart. But my thing is like he's gone. He's gone. So why you woulda, coulda, shoulda, and like he's gone. So let's appreciate what he gave us. Let's appreciate that we had him for this long. Like I interviewed someone that I may have connected with you, Steve Burlack. He died. No, I'm sorry. His dad was killed in Vietnam while his mom was pregnant with him. So he never knew his dad. He only knew his dad through old photos and old videos. I was 45 when my dad passed. So like I get it. It sucks that he's not here, but at some point his time is going to be up. That was his time. And the night before he had open heart surgery, he and my son fixed my mom's car. So like his last duty before going to the hospital was him fixing something. Like that's so fitting. And so for people who knew him, it was like, wow, that was awesome. Because he was an engineer. He was constantly building something. Like he lived in his garage. He came out to eat and sleep. Other than that, he was in his garage working on something. So it's fitting that he did that. And then when he passed, so now we all know what happened in 2020, right? So he was only a few weeks away from getting into 2020. So when he passed, I don't know the exact number of us that were there, but there was at least a dozen of us around him. They got to unsedate him enough to where he could shake his head yes and no, but he had tubes in his mouth and in his nose, so he couldn't talk. And all of us got to take turns saying goodbye. Like that's incredible. That's an incredible ending. So I mean, yes, it's sad, and yes, I'm fighting back emotions now, but that's an incredible ending. And I hope I have an ending that nice. It's like I'm struggling with a few of my kids now, so we'll see how that plays out. But to have an ending like that, and my mom singing to him, and when we ended care, I mean, he died fast. I'd say probably under 40 seconds, but that's a 40 seconds that I'll never unsee. But all the memories, like I have pictures right here on the wall. You can go into his garage and just see the things he built, the things in this house that he built, the lessons, the life lessons, the times I wanted to curse at him, all those times he was acting a fool on the dance floor. sitting in his rocking chair, watching soap operas. Like there's so many things that he left behind. And so that's where that gratitude comes from. And just accepting that death is a part of life. So I know in the moment it's tough, but as quickly as you can get to that place of gratitude, some people might be able to do it quickly. It might take some people a couple years. Like my nephew went down a dark place, gained a bunch of weight, but then he finally had his moment where he knew grandpa wouldn't want to see this. And then he got himself, I think he lost like 100 pounds, I want to say, and again, going back to finding purpose. And now he sings all over now, but he moved to New York City because he always had dreams of singing on Broadway. And that's what he's doing now. He was just in a national commercial a bit ago, just highlighting that finding your purpose. So that's what pulled him out of that dark place, was leaning into his purpose. And the day after my dad died, saying how the world works in mysterious ways, it was a podcast about grief that I had scheduled. And that was booked probably 4 months prior. And so that was probably my most tearful episode, because I could have easily canceled it. And everyone would have said, I get it, I understand. But that's not living towards the extraordinary. It's showing up in that moment of freshly watching this man take his last breath, but to show up anyway. And I spent the first probably 10 minutes of that just bawling. And then I bring my guest on, and because I was bawling, she was already bawling, and we haven't even started talking yet. But her son ended up getting murdered at 29 years old. So, we both shared that pain, because like you've heard me say on the show before, pain is pain. Like it doesn't really matter what the source of the pain is. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. They start playing the pain Olympics to see whose pain is worse. Like my niece lost her son at two, and her pain is like, I mean, it hits you on a personal level, it hits you different, right? But on a recovery level, pain is pain. Like every day she has to wake up and face the reality that her son is gone. Every day we had to wake up and realize that dad is gone. Like mom was with dad over 50 years, and she had to get up every day and live life without him. So it doesn't matter what you go through. People battling cancer, they have to live every day like it's their last. So it's understanding that pain. But you have to, again, going back, and I keep going back to it, but what's the purpose? Okay, so you're hurting. What are you going to do with that pain? Are you just going to sit around and drink yourself senseless like I started to? Or are you going to take that pain and come on platforms like this and share how that pain didn't break you?
And in addition to the gratitude piece of that, being grateful for every day, because like you said, and I think it's very important to remember, every moment is a gift. We don't know. You could get into a car accident. I know of someone who was out jogging. She was doing something healthy. She dropped her kids off to school. She got hit by a car, had to be airlifted, and then she passed. And you think for a moment when she left her house that day, she thought she was never coming back. So we never know. And every day is a gift. And being grateful for the fact that we just woke up today is it's huge. And when we find that gratitude, that will also helps get us through.
Yes, and to that point, just 2 days ago here, or it could have been just yesterday, someone went out for a bike ride and got hit by a car, rushed to the hospital, and then later passed. Same thing. Just a man saying, "All right, honey, I'm going out for a bike ride," and never returning.
Right.
It's like, and you think about moments like that, and then think about some of the, not to minimize anybody's pain, but I mean, there are levels to pain. Like people can be like, "Oh, I broke my iPhone." It's like, really? that's you're gonna stress out this whole day over a broken phone screen. It's like, come on now, something that's easily replaceable, and things like that. Saying goodbye to your spouse and them never returning. Like at least in our case, we kind of knew this was coming with dad. We had high hopes that he was gonna make it through, but now hindsight being 2020, if he made it through because of 2020, we wouldn't have been able to have been with him, and he
Mm.
would have literally died alone. So it's one of those things that where it makes it easier to have gratitude that he passed the way he did, because it would have been worse if he survived 3 or 4 more months.
Yeah, yeah. I tend to do that as an auto response, like always. Like when I lost my dad, it was the day after Father's Day. And, that traumatized me from Father's Day for a long time.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, had it not been Father's Day the day before, I wouldn't have maybe talked to him for like weeks or maybe a month or something. So because it was Father's Day, I got to at least my last words to my dad were, I love you, Dad. I'll see you next week, because I was going to go visit the next week. But I
Yes.
could even find the blessing in that part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's in anything. Those little things that people don't even realize that are powerful things. Like I was doing a podcast the other day, and the guy's telling a story. I did the podcast at the gym. I'm at home because I have notebooks everywhere, and I wrote down something that he said that he just completely. I don't think he realized the power in the sentence, and he said, "I decided I didn't want this anymore." And that's a huge statement, right? So it doesn't matter what people are going through, right? Again, doesn't matter how many counselors you talk to. The switch inside of you is what has to flip. Like nobody can flip that for you, right? And I've interviewed counselors from all over the world, and they all say the same thing. It's like you have to have that pivot point. It's like you can like I can have a conversation with you if you're going through something, and I can give you all the golden nuggets in the world, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't flip the switch. So it's like people lean on other people for their well-being. It's like, yeah, it's good to talk, it's good to vent, it's good to get advice, but you have to make the decision. I'm done feeling like this.
Take your power back. That's where we take our power back and realize that
Yes.
we are the creators of our destinies.
Yep. Absolutely.
Wow. You know what? Again, you're one of my favorite humans. I really, I will say that to anybody and everybody. I am so grateful to have you in my life and have this relationship that we have. Is there one final message you want to leave people with? And then also please tell them where they can find you and buy your book and listen to your podcast.
Yes. So the final word would be that thing that you want to do, just get it done. Just get it done. Like I bought my podcast equipment, and it just sat in the basement, just sitting there. And why? Because again, I'm human. I think things every now and then, thinking like there's celebrities out there. You got Joe Rogan in his podcast. You get all these professional athletes. It's like, who's gonna listen to me? Right now, my show, I'm booking into April of 2026. April of 2026. I have 40 podcast appearances booked up already, coming up. And it's one of those things that, like, if I didn't just start, we wouldn't be here. And I didn't have the graphics at first. You know, I didn't know really what theme I was going to use. Am I going to do just fitness? I think my first probably 10 episodes was, the importance of drinking water and micronutrients versus macronutrients. And it's like, I don't want to just talk about that stuff. It's like, I want to talk to people. And I found in those first few episodes, we just spoke about what the people did. It's like, I didn't really get to know the person. It's like, I want to know, how did you get to this version of you? And then I just made a pivot in how I did it. And then people started catching on. And then next thing you know, I'm booking months out. It's like, wow. So that thing that you're sitting on it, and you already know what it is. It's in your subconscious mind already. Like when I spent 20 years in the in the restaurant industry, the fitness coach and athlete in me is clawing inside to get out. But I was suppressing it because I was comfortable getting that paycheck, getting the 2 weeks of vacation every year, and all that, writing my own schedule, realizing that I wasn't fulfilled. So that thing that you want to do, get it going. If you don't know how to get it going, I got it right here. The answer is right here. Okay, there's 15 chapters, but there's 13 worksheets. You go through those worksheets, and you're going to pull out everything that's in your subconscious mind. And then at the end of it, it can show you what to do with it. Right? You want to get booked on podcasts? I have lots of podcast friends. So if you want to get out and you want to share your story, connect with me. You can email me, rob at robertbfoster.com. If you don't put the B in, it's going to somebody else. So you got to put the B in, right? And then you can find me on the social platforms just by searching for my name, Robert B. Foster. And you can get the book. It's on Amazon, or the direct link is shutupandgrindbook.com.
Thank you so much. I have to keep it muted because I've got these two little crazy puppies that are just crazy. But
No worries.
thank you again for making time for me, and everything you say always inspires me, and your book is inspiring me, and you are just an inspiration, period. So thank you, Robert.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Send me your address, and I'll send you a signed copy of the new one.
Oh my goodness, I will be happy to do that. So
Thank
you. Thank you for joining us for the Secrets of Being podcast. We will see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Secrets of Being podcast. We appreciate your time and support. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with more inspiring content. For further inspiration, visit thesecretsofbeing.com and join our community. Until next time, stay inspired and keep unlocking the secrets of being.